Hey, I'm Sonic Kim, America's face of dating, and today I'm going to be, unfortunately, giving you the signs of a woman who is not interested in you. But because I want you and Team SK to be successful, then I'm also going to be giving you the tips and the strategies to turn that disinterest into steaming hot desire for you. Chances are you're here because of a woman you want. You're trying to figure out whether she has that same interest that you have for her. And if this is your first time here, make sure that you tune into the part 1 of this video, Women Who Want You Do This, where I explain in full detail what it looks like when a woman has interest in you, the signs that she portrays, but also what it looks like when she may secretly want you and you don't know it. And on that note, cue the intro. I got an email that we're going to be dissecting like freshman year anatomy class from a client. And what really happens is that this girl that he meets in the club, she is very interested in him by the signs that she's portraying. And they exchange social medias, but he can't really tell what to really do because she's clearly interested in him, but he doesn't really get the hint on what to do. And so he thinks he got this advice from other dating coaches that he should act cool and aloof and uninterested in her, and somehow it's going to make her want him even more, but it actually has the opposite effect and causes her to go all the way back into this blue section. But what this chart really represents is that I made this chart and I put it in my book Waking the Core of Man because when I was promoting some of the world's region hot, some of the world's best nightclubs, I really wanted to make this chart so I could tell exactly where a woman was at interest-wise for me and what to really do in that situation to move her through these stages right here to get her to the red zone. And so every single girl that you meet and have interest in, she's going to be somewhere in this circle right here, somewhere in one of these colors. And your goal is to take her, whatever stage she's in, let's say she's in the yellow, and you want to take her and move her through the orange to the red into the ultimate red section where she's in love with you, where she's obsessed with you. That's where you want to move her, and that's why I talk about in my book. I use those strategies to take any girl and move her through the stages to get her to where you ultimately want her to be. But the problem with this email is that this girl that he meets automatically starts off in the orange zone, and he doesn't really realize that, so he tries to game her, and it causes her to move back through the stages, causes the situation to reverse what he wants, and eventually she ends up ghosting him. And you don't gain girls who are already in the orange section because they're basically saying like, I want you and it's here for you if you want it, so come and get it. But if you act like you don't care about her, then it only turns her off and she thinks that you don't really care about her and it moves her back. And so on that note, let's get into the email. So he says, "What's going on, SK? First, I have to tell you that your book is one of the best books I've ever read. Thanks. I'm not much of a reader, but this totally changed my perspective on books. I've told all of my friends about it and they should get it ASAP. I'm never too busy for your referrals, so I appreciate that." He says, "My name is Austin, and I currently live in Texas, only place where you can actually still party. I'm here because of a situation that I messed up and pretty badly. I had a girl who was very interested in me, but over time she eventually ghosted me. We met a few weeks ago at the bar. I went out with my friends, and it was one of the best nights of my life. I was on a fire." I'm assuming he says I was on fire. Nah, I was on a fire. "We danced in the club all night long, and the girls started to take notice of the fun time we were having. One specifically, I noticed her eyeing me from across the club. Every time I looked up, we caught eyes, and then she would look away." So, this email is about signs of disinterest, but, I believe in offering value, right? Team SK believes in giving value first. And so, before we get into the disinterest, for the people that are wondering some signs of what it looks like when a girl is interested in you, even though I already covered most of these, one of these signs is that he says that, "I noticed her eyeing me from across the club. Every time I looked up, we caught eyes, and then she would look away." This is a sign that a girl is probably in the orange to yellow-orange section for you. And so what this chart really represents, so if we cut it in half here, and the right side of the chart where the reds and the oranges are, that's where she associates more pleasure to being with you than pain. So every time she imagines your face, she links an emotion to you. So every time someone thinks of you, they link an emotion to you. For example, if you're on the right side of this chart where the oranges are and the reds are, she's associating mystery, curiosity. You're probably turning her on. You're probably making her wet. She probably thinks you're super attractive, super hot, super funny. So she associates more pleasure being with you than pain. But on the left side of this chart, where the greens and the blues are, that's where she's associating you with your face. She's linking to maybe neediness or clinginess, or you just don't do it for her, because there's some girls and some people that they just look at you and they're just like, I just don't want you. Like, you don't do it for me. But there's some girls that look at you and they're like, he just does it for me. Everything about him, I just want him, right? It's like the thought of your name they just start drooling for you, basically. And that's some girls, and some girls aren't like that. It's just whatever, how it's gonna be. But on the left side, where they associate more pain to being with you than pleasure. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily being insecure, but it just means you might not be doing it for them. But one of the signs that a girl, you're doing it for her, is that in the yellow-orange section, her body language is there. She is going to be, I heard once that some common advice about eye contact with women is that if you look her in the eyes and you've not met her yet, and you connect eyes, and then she'll look down, and then probably like 10 or 30 seconds later, 10 through 30 seconds, she's going to probably look back up at your eyes again. And if you lock eyes again, she's probably going to look like to the side or to the other side. But if she looks down and looks back up at you in the next 30 seconds and makes eye contact with you again, then that's a high chance that she's interested, and you should definitely go talk to her. If you see her giving you the eyes like that, then you should automatically assume that she wants to talk to you, and you should just go make your move, because chances are you're going to do very, very well if she's giving you those eyes. He says, then before I knew it, a few minutes later, her and her friends were dancing next to my group. So this is another sign that she's actually like probably in the orange section right here in this vicinity, because what's that called? What that is called? It's called a choosing signal. And what a choosing signal is, it comes from girls who girls aren't going to come up to you and tell you that they want you. They're going to basically hint it at it through subtle signs and let you make the decision if you want to take up their offer. And a choosing signal comes with stuff like that. For example, the fact that she came up next to you when she was giving you those eyes from earlier, and then she comes up next to you and she's dancing right next to you, like, that's not coincidence. It's because she's choosing you. It's a choosing signal. She wants you to make the move on her, and she's just giving you the invitation to do that. I remember my girlfriend, I met her, she does some modeling in Texas, and I actually met her in Cancun, and the resort that we were staying at. I remember I talked to her, I met her that day, but that night I decided to go out and party at the strip. Not the strip clubs, but the strip of clubs on Cancun where like the Senior Frogs are at, but where it gets insanely wild. And I remember my arm was painted up like this picture that I'm providing, and my arm was painted up, and I had a balloon on my head, and I was totally drunk. You can see it on my face. But I remember I came back after I was painted up, and my resort had a little bit of like this little nightclub inside of the resort. And that day she invited me. She's like, we're probably going to be in the resort's club tonight till 2 a.m. So, come and join me if you'd like. And that's basically another sign that a girl's actually in the orange for you if she invites you to join her like that. If she's like, well, like, she's hinting at you like, I'm gonna be here, like, come here, like, I'm here, I want you to come here. That's her invitation, right? She's subtly implying that you should come talk to her. I remember I got back and I walk into this nightclub on the resort with my arm painted up with this balloon on my head, and she was the first person that saw me as soon as I walked through those doors, and she stopped whatever she was doing, got up, and immediately came to me to greet me at the door, and she was like, where were you at? What were you up to, right? And it was written all over her face. I was like, she totally likes me. And that was her invitation, that was her way of saying, like, I like you, I want to talk to you, and it made it easy for her to come and talk to me, because women aren't just going to tell you they want you, they're going to try to hint it at you. And that was her way of hinting it at me by coming up to me and making the conversation easy and effortless. And so from there, 5 minutes later, we're on the dance floor dancing together, and the rest is history. So he says, one of my friends started talking to a girl in the group, and then we started talking. This happened about 20 minutes before the clubs closed, so we left. My friend got one of the other girl's numbers, but I didn't. However, a day later, the girl that I had been talking to ended up finding my Instagram, following me, then messaging me, I had a great time with you that night. Hope we can do it again, with a smiling emoji. I sent back, wow, you tracked me down? You're not a stalker, are you? I sent it with a winking emoji. And she sent back, I'm not, but I could make the exception for some people with another wink. Ooh. So she's very interested. She's flirting with you. And that's really good banter for people who want to know how to flirt with a girl. Like, he did a really good job in this email to banter with her. Like, that's such a good line right there. Like, wow, you tracked me down. Like, you're not a stalker, are you? Like, she literally hunted you down and found your Instagram. Like, that's if it's not written all over her, like she's making it so obvious. She's like, how much more obvious can I make this through the fact that I'm winking at you, through the fact that I literally found your Instagram and messaged you. Like, how much more obvious can I be that I want you? And the disqualifier clearly had an effect on her because it made her wink. And so if guys need lines like that and need advice, he probably got that from my when you sign up for my coaching options, when you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, you actually get the misdirection perfection file where I give you lines like that to use. So if you need lines like that or need to know how to talk to a girl like that, make sure to go sign up to that link and get some of those free products that I promote, to where you can basically spark interest with a woman almost instantly and make her want you and move her easily and quicker through these stages to get her to the red zone. And that's one of the lines that I actually use in there. You're not a stalker, are you? It's a really good line to use. And you'll see the effects when you actually go read the other things and find out for yourself. But he says, this was where I might have messed up a little bit. I heard from other dating coaches that you should act uninterested and that would make her like me more. After I gave her my number over Instagram messages on a Sunday, she texted me almost immediately after. So I decided to not respond to it until Tuesday afternoon. So you're playing games with her? Let me get this right. So you're playing games with her, because you heard from another dating coach that's going to make her want you more. So there are two common beliefs in dating and attraction that people will tell you who know nothing about women. And one of the two, if you hear one or two of these two things, then you should wax your ears and run, because it's only going to screw you. And so one of these two beliefs comes in the form of be nice to her, give her everything, unload your bank account for her, shower her with so many compliments that it clogs her ears like bath water. Basically, happy wife, happy life, they say, and you should run far from people who try to give you advice like that. And the second is the advice that you're getting here, and that's be an ass to her. Treat her like she's shit. Act like you don't care about her, and it's going to make her totally obsessed with you. And you're going to see what that really does, because it's funny, because I've come to realize through my 23 and a half years of living that the people who try to act nice, who try to be kiss ass, who try to be brown nosers, who try to be super complimentive and approval seeking, once you get to know them internally, they tend to be some of the most manipulative, controlling, abusive, meanest people that you would ever meet. And I'm like, where did that come from? Like, you were so nice at first, right? And it's like their true form comes out. But the people who are assholes, the people who try to act like they're too cool for school, right? The people who try to act like they don't care, they're some of the most insecure and weakest people I've ever met, and very vulnerable, very fragile. And so I read in this is such good advice that I read in Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. He says that the overtrait conceals the opposite. And that's one of the best advice I've ever gotten from that book, or like best tips of mental analyzing that I've gotten. Because people who tend to, like, for example, people who thump their chest, right, try to act like they're super tough, tend to be the biggest cowards, equals the biggest cowards. Let's see. Oh, this is a really good one. So women who try to be uptight, who are uptight, equals the fact that they're dying for adventure. For example, and one of the best flirting lines that you can use with an uptight woman, after you've really been breaking down those walls, you can look at her and you could be like, you're dying for an adventure. I can read it all over your face. And you sit there and you smirk and you stare at her, and the pussy equals wet. But basically, the overtrait conceals the opposite, and the people's weaknesses come in people's weaknesses are the opposite of what they reveal to you, which is very, very interesting. It's something to keep in mind forever. He says, I responded to her, "It was so good meeting you that night in the club. We have to do it again." And she responded, "We should do it again this weekend because me and my friends are going out. You should come with." She sent with a wink. We went out that weekend, had a really fun time in the club, and we went back to my place where we had sex for the first time. She did bring up a few times during the night how I said and did some things that week that made her feel like I was distant. I only replied to her that it must have had some effect on her because we wouldn't have ended up here if we didn't. Which is a good comeback. I would have said something along the same lines like, whatever you got going on in your head, babe, keep it up because I love what you're doing to me right now. She would probably slap your arm, hit you, had some fun. Even though you're clearly playing games with her and you have to cut that shit out because women, like I said earlier, they link your face to some emotion and she's remembering how you make her feel and she's feeling your coldness. Obviously, she called you out on that. She called you out on you're saying some things that's making her feel like you're distant from her, like you don't care about her, you care about just using her for her body. And she's going to start remembering how you make her feel over time. It's only going to solidify that, and you're going to end up losing her over time when you play games with her like this, when you treat her like you don't care about her. He says, after that night, she came over again a few days later and we slept together, but she asked me, "Why don't you take me on a date?" But I told her that I wasn't really into that kind of thing. Why? Why? You should have asked something like, "What do you mean?" and let her open up to you. Let her talk about her feelings. She is dying to talk about her feelings with you. She wants to feel like you care about her. You know, women need to feel comfortable around you, like they can open up to you, like they can talk about their feelings, and you have to care about them enough to ask them, "What do you mean? Tell me more. How does that make you feel?" Right? They want to feel like you actually care. They want to feel that you care about them enough to open them up, to let them talk. They have to trust you to open up. And what happened to that wit from earlier? You know, you just went full logic on her. I don't really do that kind of thing. Why weren't you doing some misdirection with it? Like, whoa, babe, slow down. Why don't you save the boyfriend and girlfriend talk for when you can actually handle me? Look her up and down. Let her be playful. Have some fun with it. Come on. Now you're going full logic on her. Because that comment where you're just like, I just don't really do that kind of thing, it probably just made her feel like you don't care about her, only solidifying that link even more, and it's probably pushing her back in the section harder. He says, she was closed off the rest of the night, and I could tell something was on her mind, but I acted like there wasn't anything wrong. You should never, never act like nothing is wrong. She's testing you to see if you care enough to open her up, to get her to talk about her feelings, and you're failing that test. And now you're just looking like an asshole. Like you're letting her sit there and bask in her own misery. She's sitting there, obviously she's upset about something. You're just like, well, I'm just gonna let you lay there. What person that cares about someone would let someone lay there in their own misery? So let someone lay there upset. She's testing you to see if you open her up. And now she really feels like you probably don't care about her. And now you just look like an asshole. And I'm sorry if that is tough for you to hear. I'm sorry if that's if that offends you, but as a coach, as a mentor, as an influencer, my job is to get you to where you are now, to where you want to be as fast as you want to get there. And if you want to be like the other 97% who are living average lives, who are living average careers, who have average success, who date average women, then by all means, this is not the YouTube for you because, yeah, I fucking cuss. I don't give a shit. It's because I'm going to push you. I want you to be successful. I want Team SK to be successful. And if you don't want that, then this is not the YouTube for you. But I'm going to push you to be successful, and I'm not going to blow sunshine up your ass because there are plenty of other people in the 97% that's going to blow sunshine up your ass, that's going to tell you what you want to hear, and you're never going to grow because of it. You're going to be always living an average, comfortable life, and the comfort zone is where you're most uncomfortable because you're never growing. You're never becoming a better man. But I'm going to give you the resources that you need to be successful, even if I got to freaking shove it down your throat, because it's going to be hard for you to hear. I'm going to make sure that you become successful if you're on Team SK. That's my job as a coach, a mentor, and an influencer. He says, when I tried to cuddle her, she would hold me loosely, and before she left that night, her body language went from happy to see me to sad and mopey. She gave me an excuse that she had to leave early and not spend the night. So, on this chart, now we're going to talk about indicators of disinterest a little bit. So, women who are interested in a man, and this doesn't necessarily go for this email is an exception to this, but guys who are just starting to talk to a girl, if they want to see indicators in their body language that a woman is not interested in you, one of the telltale signs is that up here in the green yellow section is that her feet are going to be facing away from you. They're not going to be pointing directly at you. I use in the part 1 of this video that when you connect a positive and a negative magnet together, they just move into each other and click together. And when a woman likes you, when she feels comfortable around you, when she really is attracted to you, her body language is going to be facing you. But a woman who isn't not comfortable around you, who doesn't find you attractive, her body language is going to be facing away from you. And the key to that is looking at her feet and seeing if they're facing you or if they're pointing away. Also, it's been studied that people know that when people fold their arms like this, it means that they're uncomfortable or they're closed off. But a lot of people don't know why that is, and it's actually been studied. And the best example I can think of is a cat. And I know I use the cat examples a lot, but cats operate basically on instinct. And so it's like they see food, they see something moving, they're like, oh, something's moving, hunt it. Oh, that's food, eat it, right? Oh, that's water, drink it. I'm thirsty, drink it, right? They operate based off their needs, very instinctual animals. And there are some exceptions to cats, but the majority of cats that I've seen and pet, if you touch their belly, their belly over here, they usually tense up and they claw you and they bite the shit out of you. And a lot of people don't know why that is. And it's the same instinct when people are uncomfortable and they cross their arms. A lot of people don't know why. And it's because when you feel uncomfortable, then uncomfortable to the brain signals fear. And what does fear mean to the brain? The brain actually sees fear as you could potentially die in this situation. And it's very dramatic for some situations, but the brain doesn't realize that the brain is hardwired to feel fear, therefore protect yourself. And it's been hardwired since the caveman days. And so where is our most vulnerable spot on our body? It's not our brain because it's protected by our skull. It's not our heart because it's protected by our ribs. It's our torso where people cross their arms and cover because that's the most open spot on our body. That's the most weakest point of our body. That's the most vulnerable because it's not protected by any bones. It's where our guts are, it's where our stomach is. And so when the brain feels fear, it subconsciously communicates to the body, oh, I got to protect my most vulnerable spot. And so people cross their arms and they get closed off because that's our most vulnerable spot. It's very, very fascinating. And actually on the open body language thing, something funny that you can do, I'm very comfortable with people, right? Like I'm open to have a conversation with you. I'll face you. I'll talk to you. But a lot of people are not comfortable in their own bodies, and it's really sad. And so they'll fold their arms and they'll actually move their body language away from you when they're having a conversation with you, with someone who's very comfortable, who's very confident in their own body. And you can actually, I've had conversations with people where I'm facing them and they're facing away from me, and I'll position myself back in front of them because I don't want to talk to the side of your face. I want to talk to your face, not your ear. And so I'll position myself back in front of them while they're facing this way, and they'll turn even more. And so I'll position myself again, and over the course of a minute, they'll actually spin in a circle, a whole 360 in a whole minute, because I'm trying to get in front of them so I can talk to your face, not your ear, right? And I started realizing that. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm spinning these guys in circles and they don't even know it. It's really fascinating. You can actually try it with some people who are not comfortable in their own bodies. But that is another indicator in the green-yellow section, is that, the open body language of the folded arms is a signal that she's not attracted to you or she's very uncomfortable. And another one is her eyes. So her eyes will be facing like everywhere but your eyes, because when a woman feels creeped out, then you can actually see it in her eyes. Her eyes will move around. She will not want to make eye contact with you, versus a girl who I talked about in the beginning, when she was very attracted to this guy, she looked down and then she looked back to his eyes, and then she looked away and then she looked back at his eyes. And it's like, because the eyes don't lie, they will look at what they want to see. And this chart applies for people. A lot of people think this is just for attraction and dating, but this year specifically, I've had a lot of people who have come to me that have been married for decades to their wives, and they thought that the wife was in love with them, and the guy stopped dating her, they stopped cherishing her, they stopped making her feel special. And this chart actually applies to relationships as well, because guys will actually, when they're married, they'll stop dating their wife, they'll stop doing the little things that they did in the beginning to make her fall in love with them, and so she will actually revert all the way back to the blue section And it's sad because these guys will come to me when it's too late, when she slapped the divorce paper down in his face, and she's like, I want a divorce. And they're like, what happened? I thought we were in love. And it's because he stops dating her. He stops making her feel special. He stops doing the little things that he did in the beginning to keep her in love with him. It's like guys think that after they get married or after they get in a relationship, they don't have to do anything anymore. And that's so wrong. You have to do it every single day. You have to act like every single day you're trying to win this girl. And if you don't, then she's eventually going to lose interest and she's going to slap the divorce paper down in your face. And you're like, what happened? And so you can actually use this chart to tell where she's at, even if you're married to her, or even just in the beginning by the body language that she's portraying to you. So it's very useful for both of those. So back to his email, he says, I didn't hear from her for 3 days after that. I texted her 2 days later and it took her over a day to reply back to me. And this is a sign of a girl with low interest as well, probably in the green section, where she's losing interest in a man. She's actually reverting back now to the green, where she's taking a long time to get back to you. And I said in the part 1 of this video that women who want you, they are going to find time for you. And there's this quote. It goes something like, I can't remember what it was, but oh yeah, it's some people will free their time to talk to you. Or some people, gosh, I'm totally butchering this. Some people will talk to you. Here we go. Some people will talk to you in their free time, and others will free their time to talk to you. And so when a woman wants you, she's going to make time for you. She's going to make time for you, whether she's got to sacrifice sleep for it, whether she's got to take away from her lunch break. She will find time to talk to you if she wants you. That's in the orange section. If she doesn't want you, she's not going to find time to talk to you at all. She's going to talk to you in her free time, maybe if you're lucky. I asked her if she would like to meet up that weekend, and she told me that she would. She would let me know, and she was going to be very busy. I texted her that weekend, and she said she would go out with me, but when we made plans, she bailed an hour before we were supposed to go out because something came up. So when a girl says, I can go out this weekend, but I want to be busy, she's basically planting the seed that she's going to bail on you on the last minute. It's a very context clue kind of thing. She's like, I'm going to be very busy, so, I'll make the plans, but that's basically her saying, like, I'm going to pull that out as an excuse right before. I'm possibly going to pull that out as an excuse, right? And that's what she did. She bailed on you, and maybe something came up, maybe something didn't. Maybe a good chance she talked to her friends, and she told her friends all about how you're acting, what you're saying, and the friends were like, yeah, he's just using you, and maybe it caused her to change her mind in the last minute. Who knows? But all I know is that a girl that's probably in the lower, like the green blue section, it's going to be very, very hard to get this girl out in person when she bails on you on the last minute. And so a girl that's in the green blue section, she's going to bail on you on the last minute. And it's going to be very hard to take her back up into this orange section right here. You'd be better off just ditching her, because why would you want to go out with somebody who doesn't want to go out with you, who doesn't respect your time enough, who bails on you on the last minute? It's like, that's so disrespectful. But this is the exception email, because he had that coming for him. Like, he's doing this to himself right now, because she was interested. She was giving him all the opportunities, and he was like, I just want to play games, right? So he says, I told her that I hope everything is okay, and to let me know when we can get together again. I would have said something similar. I would have said, oh, I'm sorry to hear, let's get together. When you're more free, I'd love to see you. I miss you. I want to see you. So let me know. He says, I reached out to her that Sunday afternoon, wishing that everything is okay, and then invited her to go get coffee. She never replied, so I waited a few more days and said, you must be playing hard to get, with a winky face. So now you've progressively sent 3 texts after the fact that you told her, let me know when you're free and then we can make plans then. And you literally are texting her like, you want to get together? You want to get together? Now you're forcing things onto her. And you know what forcing means? Forcing from a man, or anybody really, means that they don't feel control of their lives. They don't feel control of their situation. And so that fear that stems deep within means that you feel like you aren't enough for her. She's here and it's exposing your insecurities now. She's moving away, and people tend to be obsessed with that which they cannot have, and it exposes their weaknesses, and she's metaphorically stripping you naked. You believe, and you're forcing, because you believe that if you were to let her be free and to choose whatever man she wants, then you believe that she's not going to choose you. And you only believe that because you believe, you're only thinking that because you believe who you are isn't enough for her. And you are. You can be. He then says, she then replied that she thinks that she needs time alone and some space. this is not something that you want to hear. I talk about in my article 3 ways to always get the kiss, that one of a man's biggest fears is having a sure thing and then blowing it, because he doesn't necessarily fear, man doesn't necessarily fear the rejection. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm so afraid to, a lot of men that I start coaching at the beginning, they fear being rejected by a woman. I'm like, you don't actually fear the rejection. You have some limiting belief in your head saying that you aren't enough, and you're afraid of that being exposed. You're afraid of that coming out. You're afraid of you maybe thinking like, I got rejected. Maybe these people are right that told me I'm not enough, right? And people only view it as a lack of their skills. And I've heard from Corey Wayne that people have two primary fears, and one of the two is the fear that you won't be loved, and the second is the fear that you don't have what it takes, whether that's education, looks, money, etc., whatever excuse you want to come up with in your head. And P.S. for people in similar situations, probably in the green, blue section here, maybe even the blue section now, women who make it hard to meet up with them, that shows that they're not really interested in you. I heard a quote from this comedian. I forget the name of the comedian, but he says, when a woman likes you, she's going to open doors for you, and all you have to do is walk through them. Like I talked about with the choosing signal. When a woman wants you, she's going to be very obvious, and she's going to be like, just take the hint already, and just take me already. Like, it's yours. This is yours. Just come and take it. All you have to do is just come and just take it, right? But when she's making it difficult, it shows low interest. He then says, but this is where the story changes. A week after she sent that text, I went out with my friends to the same club we met them at, and she was talking to another guy the majority of the time. It left me in a tailspin the rest of the night, and I couldn't think straight. Do you think she was playing me? How do I get her back if she wasn't? So, when a girl tells you something direct, this is a sign that she's in the blue, like there's just not really a chance. She's going to tell you something like, I have a boyfriend. And that basically means there's no chance. That's in the blue zone right here. Basically, also, if she's very indifferent to you. And of course, there is strategies you can do where a lot of times women will have walls up, and when a guy approaches them, they'll just automatically fire that response off, I have a boyfriend, when they're lying and they don't. And there's strategies to really break down her walls and to figure out if she actually does have a boyfriend, if she has walls up, but that's a topic for another video. But the indifference thing is very interesting, because I heard this quote about a year ago. And so the opposite of hate, or the opposite of love, is indifference. And that totally stumped me, because I was like, isn't the opposite of love hate? A lot of people think it is. And I was like, well, I took like a year to think about this, and I came up with the answer about a week ago. I came up with, most people think that the opposite of love is hate, but I was like, and that's what I thought too. But I was like, well, if I heard from Anthony Robbins that that hate typically equals hurt, and you only feel hurt when you give something power, when you care about something, when you have feelings for something, when you love something, then it has the ability to hurt you, and hate tends to equal hurt. But indifference is the very opposite of hurt. It's where you literally give nothing power. You don't really care about it. Therefore, it doesn't really have the opportunity to hurt you. And so I was like, I guess hate and love are parallel in a way. And the opposite of love is indifference, because for hate to happen, you must hurt. And for hurt to happen, you must care about it. You must love it. And so that's how these two are connected. These two are the polar opposite of each other. It's the red and the blue zone, because the red zone is completely opposite, where they're not indifferent for you. They care about you. And it's like you can hurt them in this position, because they're probably in love with you. They're obsessed with you. And so you have the power to hurt them. And this is a very powerful there's a very powerful zone right here, the red zone. But with the blue zone, it's the very opposite. They have no feeling for you. Therefore, you have no opportunity to hurt them in any way, which is, and so you can really be the determining factor if you think the opposite of love is hate or indifference based off of what I've said. But either way, when she's in the blue section here, she's going to be very indifferent for you, and she's not really going to care about your feelings, and she's going to be straight up and direct with you. He says, I was thinking about reaching out to her next week. Well, that's the end of the email, but he asked, what should I really do? Do you think she was playing me? How do I get her back if she wasn't? So, whoever gave you the advice to be cold and to be distant and to act like you don't care and to play games really backfired on you. But don't worry, because Team SK has your back. But if a girl tends to tell you, I need space, usually that means give her space. But really, you really only have one or two cards to play, and one of them is to actually give her space. But the second option, this has to be your judgment if you think that you should do this or not. But you don't beg. You're not going to sit here and be like, please take me back. I love you. She's going to lose respect for you if you do that. You really only have like one option if you do want to reach out to her and try. And that's to be straight up like a man and apologize and say something like, what I said and how I acted, I can tell that that hurt you and it made you feel like I don't care about you. And I'm sorry for that. I never meant to make you feel that way. I don't know everything and I'm not good at everything. But something that I do know is that I want you. And no man's going to take the time to have something special planned for you like I do for you. And she's going to be like, well, what's that? And you got to be like, well, you'll see this weekend I'm free either Friday or Saturday at 7. Which one's good for you? And so it's a very smooth way to transition with it. You can play back that video, excuse me. You can play back that video a couple times, to really get that down how I said it. But then you actually plan something special for this poor girl, right? But if she doesn't accept it in any way, then you just gotta move on with your life and be like, you know what, like learn from this. You gotta learn when to game a girl and when to build rapport with her. You have to know when to flirt with her, but also when to make her feel like you care about her, when to listen to her, when she wants to talk to you, when she wants to bond and connect with you. If you're in a similar situation and you need my help fast, the quickest way to get a hold of me is to go to my website, awakeningalpha.com, and book a paid coaching session with yours truly. If you need a question answered, you can comment down below, send me an email, or you can go to my social medias and send me a question. I get a lot of messages over Instagram and Twitter, and also I get a lot of content. I get a lot of traffic from the internet, so I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be answering everyone's questions. So if you do have a question, make sure you get it in there, and I'll try my best to get back to it. I'm Sonic Kim, America's face of dating, and I'll see you next time.